I would like to extend a warm welcome to all members of the Cabinet, other members of the Council, members of the public and officers in attendance at today's Cabinet meeting of the 4th of February 2026. Welcome to members of the public and press who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor Jill Cleary, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. I would now like to hand over to Democratic Services to read the housekeeping note.
Thank you. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. I would remind those in attendance to please use your microphones when speaking, but do also remember to turn them off once you have finished speaking. Please also switch any mobile devices to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. If the fire alarms ring, please can everyone leave the room immediately, use the nearest fire exit, but do not use the lift. Please go to the fire assembly point located at the bottom of the car park by the garages. Thank you.
Thank you. Please would members introduce themselves during the meeting, if not already introduced by name. Apologies. None received from any Cabinet members. Item 1, Leaders' Announcements. The consultation on local government reorganisation across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight closed earlier this month. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond and help speak up for the forest. We are confident in our response, which expressed our strong and collective view, particularly the importance of keeping the new forest whole. It is now for government to assess the proposals with a decision expected in March. In the meantime, we will continue preparing and engaging positively so that, whatever the outcome, we are ready to represent the best interests of the New Forest and its communities. I will update members as soon as we know more. Residents in the last waste service phase 3, have now had the first of a set of letters about their new waste collections, which will begin in May. The leaflet explains what residents need to know at this stage, explaining how the new service will work, food waste recycling collections, and which waste containers they'll use. If you are a councillor in a phase 3 area, I would encourage you to read this leaflet thoroughly if you haven't already. Thanks to the residents' efforts in phases 1 and 2, we are now diverting 80 tonnes of food waste every week from incineration to recycling. And just recently, we have recycled almost 5,000 Christmas trees, giving them a second life as mulch products. In Totton, an exhibition was held last week with a gallery of ideas to shape and influence the future of Totton Town Centre. Residents and visitors can now give their opinions on our website for the latest plans to help Totton to become a thriving place to live, work and belong. And finally, I'm thrilled to announce our latest commitment to deliver more affordable housing, with our approval to deliver 50 council-managed homes for shared ownership over the next 3 years. We are hosting a series of information events in February and March for those who would like to know more about the schemes in New Milton, Fordingbridge, Sopley Branscough and Everton, with details on each session on our website and social media channels. I'm pleased to see that these examples clearly demonstrate the positive outcomes being delivered through the priorities set out in our corporate plan. You will hear more about this progress in the following Cabinet agenda items. Thank you. Item 2, minutes. Do Cabinet members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of December 2025 as a correct record?
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Do Cabinet members have any declarations of any pecuniary or any other interests in respect of the business for this meeting? None. Thank you. Item 4, public participation. None. Item 5, corporate peer challenge feedback, visit final report. I'm pleased to introduce the final report from the Corporate Peer Challenge and to reflect on the positive feedback we've received about the progress we have made over the past year, particularly given the scale of change and uncertainty we've been working through. The peer team highlighted a number of important achievements, including the waste rollout, the extensive preparation for the housing regulator inspection, and the adoption of our people strategy, and it's good to see that these have been recognised. This report brings the Corporate Peer Challenge process to a close for the Council, but will continue to focus on the areas they've identified for further attention. In particular, we need to keep a close eye on our capacity to deliver our priorities and maintain business as usual services alongside the demands of LGR. I want to thank our partners, members and staff for their contributions throughout this process. Their engagement has made this a genuinely valuable review. I can't thank them enough. They were absolutely brilliant over the first 3 days. And the fact that the whole Corporate Peer Challenge team came back, which is quite unheard of, for the second visit. So I'm really pleased. Cakes. Cabinet, do you have any further comments on this report? No? Rebecca, would you, Rebecca Drummond, Assistant Director Transformation. Do you want to add any comments?
Nothing further to add, thank you, Leader, other than to say that the final report will now be published on the Council's website.
I shall go outside to the floor. Any comments? Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it is a very good report and it has very many positives about the authority. However, it did make one particular recommendation I want to highlight, particularly now. As we move into LGR and looking at the complexities of doing that, looking at the makeup of the council, to get the best result for New Forest residents, we need to look at perhaps not necessarily, probably a more consensual approach in overview and scrutiny, because it says we should strengthen it so that we get the best result for our residents, because collectively, I'm sure we can get a better result than individually. So I'm advocating a more collective approach to overview and scrutiny, and in a way it strengthens it, because it does, and it gets to get the best views from across the chamber to get the best results for our residents.
Thank you. I note your comments. Anybody else? No? Then can I take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 5? Cabinet, do you agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 6, Local Plan Review, Approval of Spatial Options and Policy Direction Document. I would like to introduce Councillor Derek Tipp, who is the portfolio holder for.
Thank you, Leader. I'm pleased to introduce this item, which seeks Cabinet approval to publish our Regulation 18 Spatial Options and Policy Direction Document and to begin public consultation from the 6th of February through to the 20th of March. This marks an important milestone in our local plan review. As members will know, the Council began this review in 2024, building on both the issues and scope consultation and a call for sites undertaken early last year. Since then, officers have continued to develop the emerging strategy, drawing on extensive engagement with stakeholders, the members' working group, and a growing and robust evidence base. As members will also be aware, the government's ongoing planning reforms, including the proposed revisions to the National Planning Policy Framework published in December, place renewed emphasis on housing delivery, economic growth and higher density development. At the same time, they significantly reduce the weight afforded to out-of-date plans. This makes it more important than ever that we progress swiftly, ensuring we retain local control rather than defaulting to national policy and speculative development pressure. In producing this plan, officers have worked proactively, not only with statutory consultees and infrastructure providers, but also with the Planning Inspectorate and officials at MHCLG. This engagement has been invaluable, in helping us understand the implications of national reforms, the expectations of the plan-making system, and the importance of maintaining momentum so that our plan is submitted before the December 2026 deadline. The document includes 15 strategic development growth options, along with emerging policy directions covering housing, the economy, climate change, infrastructure, and the environment. These options are not site allocations. They form the basis for consultation so that we can test deliverability and developability, consider reasonable alternatives, and gather public and stakeholder views ahead of shaping the draft Regulation 19 plan later this year. Nothing has been decided at this stage, and I should point out that the maps also include constrained areas as well as the growth options. We should also be honest about the challenges we face. Even drawing on all currently identified sources of potential supply, there remains a significant gap between what might feasibly be delivered and the level of housing generated by the government standard method calculation. It is essential that we engage openly with our communities on these issues, which is exactly what this consultation will enable. The proposed consultation will be supported by an online platform and a series of in-person events. These will be widely publicised in the press and on social media, ensuring that residents, parish and town councils, businesses and partners can fully participate. Bringing this document forward keeps us on track with our adopted local development scheme and puts us in the strongest possible position as external policy environment continues to evolve. I would now like to hand over to Senior Planning Officer Dean Brunton to give the details of the drop-in events.
Thank you, Councillor Tipp. Overall, we'll be holding 10 events in total. We look forward to as many people attending these as possible and then completing our subsequent survey afterwards. The dates and the locations are available on our website now, but on Tuesday the 10th of February we'll be in Calmore, Wednesday the 11th we'll be in New Milton, Thursday the 12th we'll be in Forley, Friday the 13th in Fordingbridge, then Wednesday the 25th of February we'll be in Lymington, Thursday the 26th, Marchwood. Friday the 27th will be in Ringwood Gateway. Then Saturday the 28th will be in Tottenham Community Centre, followed by two final ones on the Friday the 6th of March in Hythe Parish Hall, and Monday the 9th will be in Hordle. And just to clarify, we did run a very similar process back in 2016, as some members will remember in our previous local plan at Reg 18 stage, where we included a number of sites, as we're doing now for testing, which obviously then forms part of the plan-making process rather than the plan itself.
Thank you, Dean. And we have sent letters and emails out to all parish clerks, haven't we? And I'd like to emphasise that parish clerks then make sure that they inform their local town and parish councillors for their input. It is important that everybody responds to this consultation. I cannot stress that enough. Cabinet, do you have any other comments? Councillor Jeremy Heron.
Chairman, as our officers take us a big journey on this journey and guide us through this, I do not envy them. The challenges that we face, given the contrast between land uses such as backup grazing that we've always looked to provide for the open forest, an important area, and other challenges of areas of exceptional scientific interest and things like that. We are running into quite a brick wall when we try to find that many places to put houses. Not only that, there's an expectation that we provide green space with these houses, quite rightly. And again, another challenge for our planners. I really don't envy them this task as they try to deliver the housing numbers that the central government have proposed for us in an area that has a national park plonked right in the middle of it. Whatever an AOMB is now called in the top, because I never remember what its new name is, to the north. We have so many constraints, so many needs for our land use, and fitting in this number of houses, I think, is a challenge that is quite unenviable. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just go back to Dean? For people that are watching, can you explain what ANO...
What his new name is?
Yeah,
In our area, it's the Cranbourne Chase National Landscape.
thank you. Just so they understand. Right, I will open the floor. I have Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's a good document. It covers the issues we want to talk about. But one of the things that we need to focus hard on a little bit, and it was mentioned by the portfolio holder, this is massive amount of development. When we look at a planning application, we rightly look at the application within itself. What we don't do strategically is look at the cumulative effects of one development and another and another and another on the infrastructure or lack of. And it's this strategic approach that perhaps we need to strengthen in this plan. And Councillor Miller and Councillor Woods, who can't be here, have a living example of that in Fordingbridge. The growth there is significant at the moment and will continue to grow because it is an area in the plan for housing. There is limited infrastructure, shops, GP surgeries, leisure, culture, it's minuscule. And they have one road through. And we're going to introduce thousands of extra cars into that area. Just recently, with the flooding, there's a well-publicised incident at Bellwood Road. We all saw it's flooded. How can our communities cope with this massive amount of housing? Because we are limited in space. I think that point came across very well from both the two previous speakers. But how can we cope with putting all these houses in a small area that haven't got the infrastructure to cope with it? And looking at the strategic infrastructure and using Fordingbridge as a very good example. It's not there now. We need to make sure that as we plan for the future, we make that a vital part of the strategic planning for this. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Steve Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Can I start off, as Chair of the Task and Finish Group, I'd like to start off by actually thanking the quite large team that we've employed to bring the report to this stage. It is an incredible amount of data, research, understanding of the legal situation, understanding the directions from central government, and then providing them with a challenge which is probably going to be very difficult to please any of the people at any time. But what the officers have achieved is a very comprehensive document. And I'm very proud of the way in which the officers have come to bring this report forward. It's not an easy document, as everybody's said. What I do urge the public to do is to read all the report and draw their conclusions from that report, because it does contain a lot of strategic detail as well, and the reasons why we've had to reach this stage. It will be very easy to concentrate on the section of the report that just has the maps and look at the pictures. And sometimes you hear the expression, a picture can say 1,000 words. In this case, it can say a very few words and give the wrong impression. None of those sites are set in tablets of stone. This is a discussion document, and everybody should remember that. It's absolutely essential that every member of our community, right the way across the forest, endeavours to read and respond to this document. It is about the future of the forest, and it's probably one of the most important documents we've had for many years in terms of the sheer numbers that the government, and I will stress again, the sheer numbers that the government is imposing on an area that is actually one of the most vital areas, not only to the national landscape, but to the international and world landscape. So everybody actually, I think, has a duty of care to respond to this report. And then we hopefully build the evidence to put our case, because we are going to have a shortfall of numbers. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, very well said. I'd now like to go to Councillor Caroline Rackham, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I echo, obviously, the work that has gone into this. There's all sorts of issues, lack of infrastructure, lack of backup grazing, and balancing that with the viability of development and industry. It's an absolute, really difficult job to do. So well done for so far to officers. 2 points I'd like to make. One is, I hope that what goes out to the public is going to be something that's a little easier to understand. Some of the maps in here I've really struggled with myself, and I suspect that people who aren't from the planning world will struggle a little bit more, so please bear that in mind. But the other major point that I'd like to make is we do need to preserve the character and the individuality of our towns and villages. And there are several examples in here, not least, specifically Ealing to Marchwood, where those areas are going to morph into one. And for some of them, that's already happened a little bit, and it's going to be more of an issue. So that's my biggest worry about it, if you like. But I do understand how difficult this is. So thank you for everyone that's had that input into it. It's a really good document, largely. Thank you.
Compliments indeed from the opposition. Wow. Can I now go to Councillor David Hawkins, please?
I'm sorry, but I'm very disappointed in the local plan, because what it's going to create is a concrete jungle. I mean, we live in a beautiful, green, lovely area. And now we want to turn our villages and towns into nothing more than building sites and concrete jungle. You know, who are we serving? What are we building all these houses for? Whom are we building all these houses for? No, I'm sorry, I can't go along with it. And I'm sad that we're even thinking about doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Can I now go to Councillor Alan Glass?
Thank you. I can appreciate the work that's gone into it, and I think it's a fantastic document. But just talking to the locals in Fawley being 6 villages together, and that is quite a large area, a lot of it is very rural. So one of the things that everybody is saying to me is that Fawley is at the end of a virtual peninsula. And if you want to get to it, you've got to go up the A326. You don't know whether to get road tax or planning permission to speed the traffic moves up there sometimes. That road is...
Alan, I think you're going off onto a tangent here.
I don't. Because although we're going to plan, we're going to build, people have got to live somewhere, but we have to put in the infrastructure and work with others.
Right, I'd like to take everyone back to Tim Guymer. Would you like to kind of pick up on any of the points for me, please?
Thank you. Tim Guymer, Assistant Director for Place Development at New Forest District Council. Just to pick up on the process of where we are at the moment on the local plan, because just for clarity, in preparing a local plan, we have to present a robust and sound local plan to the Inspectorate. We have a deadline of December of this year, December 26. That's 10 months away from now to submit. Those planning inspectors do not know and live in the New Forest like ourselves. They live around the country. We know and live in the forest, and we know the issues which have been articulated today. The challenge which we have as officers is to tell the narrative, to explain to the inspector at the end point what we've done to deliver as much housing need as we can, to meet our employment needs, to protect the unique, internationally renowned environment of the New Forest. So the plan-making process, as we've already discussed today, is a process. It's about telling that narrative, exploring, leaving no stone unturned. You'll have heard that before, about looking at options for where housing and employment can go. The plan is not saying these are sites which will be developed. They are simply saying that we are committed to looking to see whether they can come forward. That process is repeating the process which we did 7 or 8 years ago in the last local plan, that the key decisions which you as members, as council, will have on what sites to allocate, your strategy for development, will occur later this year, and your benefit now in hearing from the community, as you've asked very clearly, you've asked the community to give their voice to yourselves. This is what we're going out to do now. We will be going out to exhibitions, we will be standing with maps and helping members of the public understand the maps which no doubt they'll be interested in, and we recognise that we have to use different ways of communicating with different people. The statement of community involvement and the work which we're doing articulates what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be engaging with different people. So just one final point is, again, the work of the Task and Finish group, the cross-party group, which has led to this local plan. Officers are very grateful for the input of those members of the Task and Finish group, which has got to this stage. Again, when we've got the comments back from members of the public, every issue raised will be discussed and made available for yourselves as ultimate decision makers to review, to judge, to be informed by the advice of officers on what the appropriate next steps are. So I hope that's helpful to clarify for some for members that what you're approving now is just a stepping stone in preparing a local plan at the end. It's not committing to allocating sites, it's just leaving you the foundations to make key decisions later this year.
Thank you, Tim. Well explained. And as I visited many years ago, the open days that we did for the other local plan, I can't stress enough, seeing an officer with a map who has real knowledge about this area, real knowledge about what the government is asking us to do, and that is the government are asking us to do, is eye-opening, actually, because you can actually have an informal conversation and actually put your point across. So please, I can't stress strongly enough that you engage everybody during this process. Now, I do have two more comments. One more comment from Councillor Alan Alvey.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'm sorry to, it may sound like a broken record, but I want to just say that I believe that part of the issue with shortage of housing availability and going into areas that I know locally we do not approve of because they're open forest at the moment, they're greenfield, is the fact that we have apparently given up on housing on the Fawley Waterside site. And I still remain to be convinced that that is the right decision. So I'm waiting to hear from Mr. Geimer on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alvey. Councillor Tipp, do you want to just say a few final
words? Just a very final point, and that is that all members of the council will have an opportunity to give their input after we've had the public consultation, so nobody here will feel that they have been left out in any way.
Thank you. Right, can I take the Cabinet to the recommendations on page 24? As difficult as they are, do you all agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 7, Draft New Forest Creative and Cultural Framework. Councillor Dan Paul, would you like to lead on this, please?
Certainly, and light-hearted and positive report. Sorry, Derek. I am absolutely delighted to present this today. It's been a long time coming. As you all know, Keely left us, although she has worked with Joe to finish and provide what we've got before us today. I am very, very happy with the report and the document, although I have to say the actual plan itself does actually demote Steve and promote me, because it says portfolio holder for housing and communities. So they've amalgamated the two of us. So although I'm very grateful for that, I'm sorry, Steve. I think we probably just need to do a slight amendment, but it is a draft. So, without further ado, I'll hand over to Jo with grateful thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Paul. I just wanted to add, really, this draft framework sets out a shared vision for culture across the New Forest, and that's for our communities, businesses, practitioners and our partners. And it identifies the strength in collaboration, partnership working, shared learning and knowledge to make sure that we can have the maximum benefit. The strengths and opportunities in the framework have been identified through extensive consultation, and those have been through workshops we've undertaken with members, the creative sector, partners, officers and the public, and they have actually identified the themes that we've proposed in the document along health and well-being, economic growth, skills, environment and place. And we're looking at implementing this through an action plan which will be managed by Creative Forest and a steering group who will actually monitor and manage the implementation of it and evaluate the impact it's had. So what we're actually seeking is to consult further now we've actually got this draft framework in place and receive as many comments as possible with regard to how we can shape the future of the New Forest moving forwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Jo. I will go to Cabinet first. Do you have any additions? No? Thank you. I will go to the floor. I've got Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I welcome the report as well. This district has not given creativity and culture enough support in the past, and it's a good sign that now we've turned a corner and are really giving it the attention it deserves, because it contributes a lot to well-being and good health of our population. My only point with this is that, again, as we move into LGR, we make sure that Culture New Forest is supported by whatever future political entity we go into, because it's so important that this sort of thing maintains, and they feel that local government supports this organisation in doing so.
Okay, thank you. Caroline Rackham.
Sorry, I should have brought my sign, shouldn't I? What a relief to have a specific strategy for culture. That's just fantastic. However, some issues. So culture in common doesn't really seem to get as much of a mention, and there's no real explanation of where that's going to fit inside what's going to happen into the future. So I'd like to see a little bit more about that. There's a kind of idea that comes from it that somehow we're inventing conversations between all these organisations. That's been going on for quite a long time, decades. So there's maybe something more that needs to happen than just working in partnership. Somebody at some point has to fund some of this stuff. And unless we have some kind of funding recommended in this framework, we're not going to be in a position for that to carry on once LGR has happened, etc., etc. So we need both the data, which is brilliant, but also some funding, a funding strategy of some sort in there to back up the ambitions. And a final point is about the kind of disparate nature of our area. I've worked on projects that have tried to look at the whole of the arts and culture across the forest, and actually it's a very difficult thing to bring it all together into one. It needs to be done separately because each area has very different needs in terms of culture. There's a nod to that, but there's again no real theme for how that's going to get overcome. So those are my main points, but really fantastic, such a relief to have this in place. And the makings of a really good document, the start of a good document. Thank you.
Two lots of praise from the opposition. This is a good day. Councillor Steve Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Just want to emphasise what Caroline's just said. It's great to see this document come forward. What it actually does, it sets a framework of partnership. And it doesn't answer every question at this stage. it is looking to the future to establish a certainty beyond LGR. And by bringing people together in that partnership, which, as Caroline's pointed out, a lot of those partnerships already exist. It's not a matter of reinventing the wheel, it's about enabling that wheel to turn into the future and beyond. And I think it's a very good document, and it will enable all the diversity of culture that we have, from common in, right the way through to art and theatre, because culture is a very broad subject. It will enable all of those to thrive within the forest, within our culture.
Councillor Danpour.
I think actually the points that are raised are addressed in the document, really. The whole point of this document is to shore things up and make things more clear, black and white, and make funding more accessible. And I think, Joe, I don't know if you can just sort of pick up on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to add to that, and it's really positive to actually acknowledge that the Arts Council England have already noticed what we're actually doing and have funded the Creative Forest in new posts to help manage and take forward this strategy. So this strategy is going to be managed by the Creative Forest, but with a steering group of a mixture of partners who will all look at how an action plan will be drafted and implemented. And Arts Council have already funded that over the next year to support in that transition. So I think I completely take on board what Councillor Rackham's saying is, looking at how one voice can encourage greater funding opportunities and show that we have got a strategy in the New Forest and everybody's got a clear direction in which they're going in is going to be really important to help us in the future. But any further comments, obviously this is the opportunity to get those comments through the consultation, and that's what we're really looking for. And we've got a good engagement strategy in place so that we can get really good responses throughout all the creative networks, so we can make sure people are aware of what the strategy and framework is saying and ask for some positive or negative feedback and what else they feel needs to be added.
Thank you, Joe. And although Councillor Christine Ward couldn't be with us today, I have had an email from her, and she truly and utterly welcomes this document. So, with that in mind, can I take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 299? Do you agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 8. Corporate Plan Key Performance, data for Quarter 2, 2025 to 2026. And it comes under my portfolio, so I will do the introduction. The key performance indicators are an important tool for ensuring the delivery of our corporate plan commitments, and I am pleased to introduce this report reflecting our performance for Quarter 2. I know the report has been considered in detail by each of the overview and scrutiny panels, and these discussions are reflected within the covering report alongside commentary of where performance is below target. It is important that we keep these areas under review. So can I hand over to Sak Yazin, who is Performance and Insight Manager. Sak.
Good morning, thank you. So, as has been said, this is Quarter 2 of our corporate plan scorecard, and we have 30 KPIs available in the dashboard. I've provided a bit of a summary of the highlights from the main dashboard, but as you've said, there's been extensive discussion at the overview and scrutiny panels. Comments from the panels are included in the covering report, which details the additional insights that were presented. And I'd like to take any comments or questions before moving back to the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Cabinet members, do you have any questions, anything to add?
No.
No, thank you. I will open it to the, hiccup to the floor. Never guess. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I mean, there's some very good positives that come out of the data. Unfortunately, a lot of the aspects of it we can't really tell to the end of the year, and we look at the year-long performance, which will then give us a better over holistic view of how well we're doing. The one that was highlighted in the panel, and actually is something that is interesting, is fly tipping, because a lot of fly tipping isn't on NFTC land, so it's not our responsibility to collect, but it affects the New Forest, our geographical district, quite considerably. And what we need to perhaps look in the future is work with partners to try and improve the situation across the district completely, because that is an issue. And as we roll forward with our waste and so forth, there is the potential for that getting worse. So just perhaps some partnership working to improve it across the geographical district, particularly the National Park and Forestry England, which are particularly Forestry England are big players in this, is something that perhaps we need to look at.
Just to reassure you, I think we are working with partners. They are not necessarily listening, but we will continue to work. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. It's more of a query, really. Page 332, the number of households in external emergency accommodation. I wonder if there's any kind of explanation around that. I can see some of the issues that have been being faced for the 25-26 quarter one and quarter two. They're both in red. That's not the ideal direction of travel.
Thank you. I have the absolute perfect person sitting next to me to answer that. Councillor Steve Davis, who holds the portfolio for housing.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. We, well, anyone in external emergency accommodation is a failure, basically, in my view, as you know. But one thing I can say is that over the past couple of months, we've introduced a significant number of new dwellings for social rent. We have moved a lot of people from temporary accommodation into those new socially rented properties in New Milton and in Hythe. As a consequence, we have freed up some temporary accommodation that we own ourselves and moving people out of emergency accommodation into the temporary accommodation. So the numbers have declined dramatically over the past couple of months.
Okay. That's good to know.
Thank you. Nobody else. Can I now take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 323? Cabinet, do you all agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 9, financial monitoring based on performance April to December 2025 inclusive. We will now go to Councillor Jeremy Heron.
Thank you, Leader. A fairly simple report coming here on the third quarter of the year, showing some very minor changes. Obviously, some of them, such as the Bring Banks, which are becoming very popular at the moment. I hope that as the waste system settles down, that will settle down as well. But as we, in this period of change, they deliver an important service, and we've allocated additional funding to help deliver that and make sure that they operate smoothly. Very pleased to see that there has now been a little bit of clarity on the extended producer responsibility, and we're pleased to see that come through. Apart from that, I think there are very few parts of interest. I mean, everyone will be able to read for themselves throughout the report how the variations and additions have been come through. Malcolm Wade obviously will be very keen to see paragraph 32. I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned it. He'll probably be celebrating it. Yeah, he'll be celebrating it. Well, party poppers and everything, honestly, as it looks as we find additional funding to match funding for Hythe Promenade. An important part of the area, and pleased to see that actually coming forward. After that, I think I'm happy to take any questions that anyone may have. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to go to Alan Bethune, Strategic Director, Corporate Resources. Alan.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just to touch on one additional detail in the report, just to confirm the HRA. So again, we have seen some reductions in our interest charges, but there's a positive spin on that, and that means that we can actually repay some of the loan principal instead. So again, that's a nice variation to deal with. Otherwise, just to confirm, obviously we are almost at the back end of our budget preparation for 26-27, and obviously what we do, we take into account these variations in that planning, and so a lot of these variations you'll see have been considered in that context of future budgets. I'm happy to help with any questions, Chairman, as necessary.
Thank you. Let's go to Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Well, thank you, Leader. As Councillor Heron has very kindly mentioned, paragraph 32 at High Promenade, I would like to say I'm very pleased NFTC is actually going to fix something that they actually own and make it so the public can once again walk along the promenade. And it's interesting on a more general point that we have some positive and negative variables in the finances as we trundle through the year, but it's probably plateauing out as we go along, so the situation as it is. But once again, thank you on behalf of High Wycombe.
Wow, guys, what a day.
That was 3 times.
3 times. Right, anybody else? No? Can I then take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 353? Cabinet, do you approve?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 10, Community Grant Funding 26 to 27, and we're going to go to Councillor Dan Paul.
Thank you, Leader. Many of you may remember former Minister David Miller, who dubbed himself the Minister of Fun. Well, today I feel a bit like that, so I'm very pleased to present this one to you. It should be self-explanatory, and I know Ryan's going to take us through it in more detail, but it's just really lovely to recognise all of our community groups and charities, and I know that the Task and Finish group takes such time to give really good and detailed consideration to each application. And obviously Ryan and Jamie do an awful lot of work in preparation for that. So again, without further ado, I'll move over to Ryan to talk us through it.
Okay, introducing Ryan Stevens, Service Manager, Revenues, Benefits and Customer Services.
Yeah, thank you. As noted, the report details our annual community grant programme and process that we have with the Task and Finish group. We did have a record number of applications this year, 42 revenue grant applications, 24 capital grant applications. We already have funding agreements with 5 organisations who we work with and meet regularly throughout the year, and we are in year 1 of their 3-year funding agreement. The Task and Finish group received 28 presentations for the revenue grants. These were in person, and many of whom had applied for the first time. And during the process, the Task and Finish group did give additional advice and information regarding things like fundraising, which was well received. The recommendations are revenue grants of 85,000 to 23 applications and capital grants of 9,949 to 10 organisations. So in total, 38 organisations are benefiting from our community grant programme with a total grants award of just over £255,000. As you can see in the report, the community grants programmes continue to support a wide range of organisations that support our residents and communities from across the district on a range of things from mental health, disability, carers, the elderly, households struggling with their bills, arts, culture, sport, environmental, right through to community halls. So a real range of organisations that we are supporting. The report also recommends continuing our support for our 2 community transport schemes. We run in partnership with Hampshire County Council and Community First Wessex, and they support vulnerable residents, particularly in our rural areas. We did receive lots of positive feedback from organisations about our community grants programme, as most grants currently being applied for from organisations tend to be project-based and not those that support organisations with their ongoing running costs. I'd like to thank the Task and Finish group for their efforts over the 3 days. They were long days. We had to make some difficult decisions in their recommendations, but I'd like to thank them. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Cabinet, do you wish to add? No? No? Okay. Can I take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 365 and 366? Cabinet, do you agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 11. Asset Maintenance and Replacement Programme and General Fund Capital Programme 2026 to 27, introducing portfolio holder Councillor Jeremy Heron.
Thank you very much, Leader. This is again the fund that enables us to maintain our assets and replace those that need to be replaced. I'm pleased to report that we've had an increase of 210,000 into the overall budget for the year, bringing the new total to £3.1 million, of which £500,000 of that sits within the housing revenue account. Leader, this enables us to maintain assets and replace such items as vehicles and that lot which are essential to deliver the services to the people of the New Forest. A lot of it is fairly dry and almost unseen. But occasionally we do one or two projects that are seen by the public, and by way of highlighting them, I'd like to just pick on one within the list, and that is the Ealing Tide Mill. It's an exceptional tide mill, a very rare item, sits over at Ealing, near Totton, and has, for some time, has a number of issues. I am delighted to say that we managed to find the funding and support, and it is back in use and actually grinding flour again. Oh. Yes, I know. It's very exciting. And at a better budget than perhaps I originally was concerned about I might be had. There is still a long way to go, but these are the sorts of, in amongst the replacing our waste carts and maintaining the leisure centres and things like that, these are the sorts of things that the public really see, and I'm delighted that despite the pressures on local government finance, we can still find the funding to deliver those sorts of projects. Thank you.
I'd like to hand over to Alan Bethune. Alan, do you have any further comments?
Only just to confirm, Chairman, that the process has had, I think, good rigour throughout. Is already had an outing as well at the Resources and Transformation Overview Scrutiny Panel, who are supportive of the programme as presented. And I think importantly, a prioritised programme that will have oversight through the new Project Management Office for next year. So we'll hopefully, again, really kind of drive home delivery for these projects, which is obviously really important.
Let's go out to the floor. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I want to talk about the public conveniences refurbishment. There is an issue that I have raised with the officers, and they have responded positively on this. There are hundreds and hundreds of New Forest residents who have medical conditions that require, shall we say, extra facilities, not huge, quite minor, an example like Stormer, and they often get forgotten about in public facilities, and this is something that I believe is we are refurbishing at our public conveniences for very low cost, but a big impact for these individuals. We can help, and I know that the officers are looking at this favourably, but I thought it's worth sharing this with members, because this tends to be a forgotten group, and they shouldn't be, and they deserve all the help and the support that we can give them, that we can.
Councillor Brackham.
Thank you. I wanted to comment on the tide mill, actually. So this is, yes, surprisingly, this is such a rare industrial heritage asset to have. It's absolutely the jewel in the crown, as it were. And there has been a long campaign by the management group to get into this position. So thank you for recognising at last that work is needed and the support was needed. It's fantastic to see it done. And as I say, it's having an industrial heritage asset of this type is really unusual, so it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Come back.
Thank you, Councillor Heron.
Thank you. Just to come back, first of all, on the tide mill, I've been on this council so long, this is the second refurbishment of the tide mill that I've been on. And I would just also like to point out the fact that it has good Ringwood Armfield engineering fitted within it, if you look. On Malcolm Wade's point, if I can, yes, he is absolutely right. And in a number of places, we have managed to put additional pods for very high need, high specification, high care units, which are very important. We will continue, even at this stage, to see if there is anything we can do. But the upgrading of the facilities and the toilets as they are is vital because obviously it also increases the facility for those that need extra care but not to that level of those specialist pods, and we will look forward to it. The only problem I have is that we have a number of public toilets and every single councillor is saying that the one in their area is the most important and should be done first.
Thank you. Can I go to Councillor John Sleep, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like at the moment to take this point in time to congratulate myself and actually attending one of the meetings and bending Councillor Heron's ear to the fact that it is the jewel in the crown of our forest. And despite him having nightmares about the cost, it would all turn out well in the end. And obviously it helped that he listened. Thank you.
Right, can I take Cabinet to the recommendations on page 391? Cabinet, do you all agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 12, Capital Strategy 2026 to 27, and we are back with Councillor Jeremy Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. I think that the capital strategy within this is fairly straightforward. All that we are required to do is to, as always, annually, confirm the median revenue payments as per set out in this paper to ensure that we are fully compliant.
Alan Bethune, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just to confirm, it's the annual adoption of the capital strategy. So again, just takes into account our proposed programme for the next 3 years. This is the first paper that combines the General Fund programme and the Housing Revenue Account programme. So we are talking, fairly large combined sums at just over £143 million over 3 years. The report, though, it covers in the relevant prudential indicators in accordance with the Prudential Code that funding is in place, and we can show that it's proportionate for the size of this authority. So there's certainly nothing in the indicators that give me any overly concern. And I think, again, just reaffirm that it's in our interest to try and set ourselves a programme that is ultimately deliverable, and I think that's what this programme does.
Thank you. Cabinet, do you have any further comments? No?
Not really.
Whoa. Okay, Cabinet, can I take you to the recommendations on page 405? Do you fully agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Last item, members. Item 13, members' allowances. Scheme to apply from the 1st of April 2026. Kind of really a housekeeping thing, so I'm not going to add anything, but I am going to go to the Principal Democratic Services Officer, Joe Tyler.
I think that's going to be Matt Wisdom, the Monitoring Officer, to cover that, but thank you.
Sorry, Matt.
That's okay, Leader. No problem at all. As you said, a fairly routine report, an annual report. The Council is required to set a members' allowance scheme each year. The last full review undertaken was implemented in the last financial year, and no changes can be made unless a fresh set of recommendations are sought from your independent panel. So the recommendation is to adopt the current scheme for the year ahead, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Cabinet, do you have any further comments? Let's take it to the floor. Okay. Cabinet, can I take you to the recommendations on page 421? Do you agree?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your attendance today. I now declare this meeting closed.